Okay. So we are going ahead and getting started here. I am very excited to be doing our first official online class for bios, and we have a live participant. We have a live victim, so to speak. Matthew has volunteered his bio that he wrote to me, and this is something that we offer for all of you guys. I'm happy to look over your bios, but the bios are so important and key, and here's why they are. I think some people don't spend a lot of time on them because they don't realize where they should really go. So I'm going to start this off before we even get to Matthew's bio by showing you guys all where this should be. Your bio should be everywhere, and it should be consistent. It should be cut and from place to place. I don't play the games where, oh, this audience is different, so I've got a different story to tell. No, my story is the same everywhere because it's the story of why I'm in real estate and why I'm going to be effective for you. So I've taken a couple bio classes myself. By no means am I the only authority on them, so if you don't like the way I write mine, that's okay. If you don't like the way we edit Matthews, that's okay too. You can write whatever you want as long as it's legal and ethical and passes the Realtor Code of Ethics. But I have some suggestions for you that I think will help you. So first of all, where do you put your bio? You put it everywhere. I kind of use LinkedIn as my base landing pad. So LinkedIn, and then also you'll notice the identical bio is on my Exit Realty website, as well as my personal website, which of course we get through the office. So they're the same everywhere. That means across my social media, anywhere, even on my personal brochures, you have this 1 to 3 paragraphs, that is telling your story. So I can literally cut and paste, and this is what I do. If people say, Nick, tell me your story in real estate, or why are you in real estate, I can cut and paste from here. If I'm being introduced at an event to a home buyer seminar or something like that, a speaking engagement, I can tell them just go on my LinkedIn and cut and paste my bio. It's 1 to 3 paragraphs on you. The same. Here it is on my personal website that everybody in the office gets the personal website and has the ability to adjust and change that. That's going to pop up right away as part of the bio. If you are having Travis do a personal brochure for you, wow, look at how good these personal brochures look. Check this out. This is the personal brochure from Travis. He did a really nice job on this. There's a couple tweaks I'd still do. Right there. There I am. There is where I'm flashing my little icon to you. This is my bio right there. So that bio follows you wherever you go. And again, LinkedIn, your website, everywhere. So I'm first going to talk about Matthews. And again, mine is not the end-all, be-all. I have been in the business a while, so I may have more to talk about. But for a new agent, you don't necessarily have the most statistics on yourself. But you don't want to leave with statistics anyway. My former bio, I wish I had kept a copy of it, was very, very heavy into here's where I graduated from, here's all my awards, blah, 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 award after award after award. And all I did was talk about top producer, this and that. And I went to a class, actually it was taught by a good friend of mine that at that time was high up at LinkedIn. And they teach you there, it is not about you, it's about what you can do for the client. Again, it's not about you, it's what you can do for the client. So right off the bat, I've dedicated my entire adult career to empowering lives through real estate. So yours as a new agent could be, my passion is, my reason for being in this business is, my goal for every transaction is, something about what you're going to do for the clients or why you're in this business. It does not start out with awards. So for those of you guys that are new agents, oh my gosh, that's great. You don't have that much to say. Talk about why you're in the business. Talk about any sort of experience you have in the business. Maybe you're an investor by background. I bought a house and I had a terrible experience. I wanted to make the experience better for the average consumer. I sold a property and I didn't make money. I wanted that to never happen to someone. Tell your story. Maybe got a personal story in the family about real estate. We've had people in the office somebody that had an injury and it made it get around. Their passion is help people with access issues. What is your story, your passion? And my passion is empowering lives through real estate. I truly believe this is investment vehicle for them. I want people to invest in real estate and be better off because of it financially. That doesn't necessarily come through in this first paragraph. I could probably reword this a bit, but talking about passion about the business, I do start to then talk about a little bit of experience. You will then, and we'll talk about this in Matthew's bio, you will obviously eventually want to talk a little bit about numbers. If you are new, you don't have numbers yet. So you are going to go into, guess what? We are Exit Realty's #1 most productive office in America. And then you steal the slogan right off mine that you are the consumer's #1 choice for trusted real estate information everywhere. Or you can say for buyers or sellers or whoever you want to phrase that. So we are Exit Realty's #1 most productive office in America. And we are your #1 for trusted real estate information everywhere. Also talk about the strength of the office in terms of 200 agents, over 200 agents, over $1 billion in real estate sold. I can that. We're going to go into that on Matthew's because, again, Matthew's newer. He has some great experience, but it not necessarily translated to huge numbers yet. It will soon. I do like you to bring up your education. If you've got some degrees, what's in here do. Some of us have 2 or 3 degrees. Any advanced designations within the industry. I love designations. I think they're so special for people that do them. But again, you don't lead with them. You lead with your passion. You lead with your big why, what you're going to do for the consumer. And then you're going to talk about any background. So it's passion, it's forward thinking, then it's background, and a little bit of look in the rear view. Okay? So let's, then in mine, I do have a third paragraph, talks a little bit about my quote-unquote side businesses, which are very related to real estate. This would be a great paragraph to talk about hobbies, about your family. Maybe I don't have that many hobbies outside real estate. I don't talk about them, but I do talk about my other real estate business. So let's jump into now. We had mine. I don't think we've got any questions about that. Happy to talk to you later one-on-one about them. Let's go into Matthew's. So everyone's going to be able, I can't write your bio for you. Matt wrote a wonderful bio on himself, but we're going to tweak it a little bit based on what we just talked about, what I learned from my friend that used to work at LinkedIn. So let's go up here. Matthew starts out with his childhood. And Matthew, you're on this webinar with me. I think what we're trying to get out of this here is that you grew up on construction sites. I love that. I love the fact that there's history there. This is not your first rodeo with this, so to speak. You grew up on construction sites. You are a third-generation real estate person. Is that something, Matthew, that you'd want to mention? Maybe that this is real estate is in your blood, something like that.
Yes, it definitely would. I did not think about putting it as, third generation. That is a nice polished way to put it. I think it's a very emotional way. Yep. Okay,
so let's think about this though. We are going to wanted to start talking about, your passion for it, that it's in your blood. I think that's a great way to start out. Just reading through yours to see if there is anything specifically that we could say also about the big why. Always acting in accordance to the best interest of those represents. We're going to steal some of this second paragraph, and we're going to move this to the first paragraph here in just a minute. And why I like that is because that's part of your big why. I love that, and that's going to be, what does it get to the consumer? It's not just great that you happen to be, somebody that has been in the business with the third generation, but it's also what's that going to get the consumer? So let's kind of start this here. All right. I'm gonna freeze throw, so you guys will kind of have to hear me typing here a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I do like to use, I think I even in my own, I spoke in the third person. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's keep that consistent with yours. Because imagine this, if someone is reading this as they're introducing you at a speech, at a home buyer seminar, at something even bigger, like an Exit Realty convention. So let's write here.
When I talked to my core coach about it, he said you want to speak in the sense that this is somewhat like your elevator pitch before someone even meets you.
Exactly. I think that's a good point. Yeah. And Matthew, I'm having a little I think there's a little interference on your end. So we'll definitely keep trying to talk, but we may also ask you to type some things in the comments too if I have a little time here. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Matthew Thompson grew up on construction sites as both his grandparents and father were builders. Matthew truly has real estate in his blood, assisting well, we're going to say actually in the past tense. Matthew assisted from a very young age on job sites and truly has real estate in his blood. I like the conversation here about he tried to stay away from his passion for real estate. Matthew continued in this calling, started in November of 2012. So we do want to know when you started. I think, the fact that you strayed away from it for a while isn't really truly relevant here. I want to dive more into the other things that went on. So let's maybe mention briefly, before launching his real estate career, Matthew worked in management, in a management career, something like that. So we're going to take out trying to stray away from his passion for real estate. That's a little bit negative towards your career drive, and we're going to keep it positive. His real estate career Matthew worked in management. Actually, we're going to leave that out altogether. I think we're going to focus on real estate now and what just like we said we were going to do, and then we'll come back to that management career.
Okay.
So let's hear Matthew's passion. Let's read about Matthew's passion. So Matthew, what would you say your goal is for your buyers and sellers? This long-term background and deep understanding of the realities of the real estate industry propel Matthew to a focus on, and this is what I really liked about you, education. Let's see here. On the best interest. So what I want to get here is that you mentioned that you always are acting in the best interest of your clients. I think we can infer by saying you saw this from childhood, you saw the realities of the industry, that because of that, you saw some people that maybe we're not going to say that here, but over the years, people weren't always the best people. We all know people in real estate that are not amazing. And I think the industry, that's why we have a bad reputation. I think it's wonderful that you're saying you're a third generation, you grew up with doing chores and tasks around the industry, and that propelled you to have a passion and a focus on doing the right thing by his sellers when representing buyers and sellers. Let's see what else we can add here to make this a full paragraph. So we're going to take out always in acting in the best interest of those who represent. So that's what he said. And again, you can change this a little bit more if you'd like, of course.
Probably.
And another thing we know about Matthew, so what I want to do when we talk about a person is that we do try to come alive. If people are going to be trapped in a car with you, or you're going to be sitting at their dining room table talking about their finances, if you're selling for them, and they're going to get to know you very quickly. And so if you've got an interesting personality, or you're a humorous person, or you are a passionate person, or a thoughtful person, or a detail-oriented person. So Matthew, you're pretty analytical. You excel in guiding and facilitating the order of things. I think we should mention that, again, it wasn't in the first paragraph, but let's discuss kind of as we close out the first paragraph, Matthew's background. Use the word background again. Matthew's personal strength in guiding and facilitating a transaction due to his
previous employment?
No, we're not going to go into previous employment in this paragraph because that's like starting off. Well, he did this before. We're going to go into that into that a little bit in paragraph 2. So we're going to keep paragraph what's your passion and what you bring to the table for that consumer, because we don't want to lose them by spitting out your resume in paragraph 1. We will get them interested in, wow, this sounds like the kind of guy I want to work with. Does that make sense?
Okay, definitely, yeah.
Okay, so let's see, the long-term, I'm going to read this again from the beginning. And guys, if you're watching this is how we have to do it. It's kind of a labor-intensive process, which is why people skip doing their bio. You've got to read it as if you're a third party. And someone, again, is reading to introduce you. Does this make sense? Does it flow well? Does it make you want to get to know Matt? So that's our goal. Matthew Thompson grew up on construction sites as both his grandparents and father were builders. Matthew assisted from a very young age on job sites. So we've already said here, let's catch the issue here. Construction sites and job sites. Matthew's a very young age in a variety of building tasks and clearly has real estate in his blood. This long-term background and deep understanding of the realities of the real estate industry propel Matthew to a focus on doing the right thing when on always, I think you had this capitalized on here. We're not going to capitalize it up there, but on always doing the right thing when representing buyers and sellers. Matthew's personal strength in guiding and facilitating transaction is due to his detail-oriented nature with a strong emphasis, because I think you're a systems person, on systems and follow-through. You're very detail-oriented. Okay, so let's talk about that.
Okay.
Perfect timing here. I'm going to get this out of the way, but I do want to keep it to remind you it started in November of 2012. So we're going to cut. And we're going to paste it down here somewhere. We'll figure out where to put that later. Okay. Before launching his real estate career full-time, real estate career, Matthew, I don't think we need to repeat your name again. Right. Matthew worked in a variety of management fields. It was early on in his management career. I'm not sure if we want to say you worked in a variety. Does that sound like you couldn't keep a job, that you were kind of aimless? Again, we're really kind of keeping this concise to you were in management, now you're here. I don't think it pays us to say a variety of management fields in management. Mm-hmm. What type of management?
Retail and corporate sales.
Hey, Matthew, what type of management were you in?
I was in retail and Retail and corporate sales.
Retail and corporate sales. Awesome. So 2 things isn't a variety. 2 things is 2 cool things. Let's do that. In retail and corporate management. Retail management in retail and corporate sectors. It was early on in his management career that became apparent Matthew excelled in guiding facilitating the order of successful company structure. Yeah, so what we've done is, because we've mentioned it up here, but we didn't use the same words, we can keep this paragraph down here. The end goal will not be met. While maintaining the foundation and organization of these companies, Matthew learned to leverage his communication skills in order to ensure a smooth and seamless functionality of the work environment. I'm not sure if I love the work environment, because work environment, I have a work environment in a real estate transaction? Not really. Let's find a different word for that. While maintaining the foundation and organization of these companies, Matthew learned to leverage his communication skills in order to ensure a smooth and seamless road to task completion. This made Matthew a perfect candidate for real estate success in handling transactions as he embarked on his realtor career. November 2012. I think that's nice to mention that, because obviously now you've been there a while. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, that's paragraph 2. That is a little bit more on Matthew. Let's see here. Huge educate. I love this hobby stuff. We're going to get into that in a second.
Okay.
To focus on. Okay. Huge advocate on education, reading, and interpersonal development. I don't want to lose this stuff because I will not remember it. I do know you ride horses, but I won't necessarily remember that later. Let's get that down here, so we'll talk about it towards the end. Matthew is a huge advocate on education. So Matthew is a huge advocate. His learning base is I don't think we need to say also, excuse me for a moment, is a huge advocate on education, reading, interpersonal development, period. He is. Now we get into the resume spit out, but it's important we do, because the resume is part of your business. He is a member of core training and Buffini coaching programs. These programs are designed to strengthen the foundation of relationships of Matthew's real estate business. They also ensure that Matthew is a ensure that Matthew's a skilled and trusted real estate advisor. Matthew is pursuing, we don't need to mention the word student, pursuing a bachelor's of science in accounting with a minor in forensics. Part-time. Do we want to say the word part-time? In his spare time?
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that would definitely be something to point out, so they don't think that school is a priority over them. So definitely want to say that.
Okay, yeah, it's pursuing a bachelor's of science in accounting with a minor in forensics in his spare time, and also enjoys riding horses. And your favorite charity, a charity you're involved with?
I'm not involved in any charities.
Okay. Okay, so we will get some quite soon, Matthew will become involved with the charity. Here's where, guys, if you are involved with a charity, so let me look at mine. I actually have to look to see if I've even mentioned it on mine. I don't bring it up on mine either. I used to. I, quite frankly, have barked a little bit too much about my resume here. That's a wonderful opportunity to mention that you're involved with the charities, with the local community. That's something, Matthew, both you and I need to quite frankly just put it back in. I'm very involved with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. It's not there. It makes me look like I'm not involved at all. You might want to find something in your spare time, which doesn't look like there's much of it with this great bio. Let's kind of wrap this up then, though, with something else. So let's think here for a second. Please, Matthew. Yes, go ahead.
I'm starting a BNI. I don't know if that would be a way to tie that into a hobby.
I love that. Okay, that's a wonderful thing. And is your BNI going to be in the city? Where's your BNI going to be?
My BNI is going to be downtown Chicago, and it is specifically for dual license in whatever field that they are in. So everybody crossing the border will have a seamless transaction.
Matthew, we have not mentioned in this entire conversation that you are dual licensed. I'm going to slap myself, and I'm going to slap you through the webinar here. We forgot that. That's a huge. How many people are dual licensed? You grew up in Northwest Indiana, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Matthew is one of only a handful agents licensed and actively selling property in both Indiana and Illinois. He is a member of both CAR and GNIAR. Now that is up to you, Matthew, if you want to spell out what those mean. That I'm not going to belabor that point for you guys now, whether you want to do that. Sometimes I will spell out my designations because I don't think people know what the heck they are. That's up to you. In the interest of time, we're going to leave them as is for now. You can adjust these. These are all in Google Docs. Okay. So let's wrap this up with, they also ensure, we're in the last sentence, they also ensure that Matthew is a skilled and trusted real estate advisor, period. Matthew is pursuing a Bachelor of Science with a minor in forensics in his spare time, and also enjoys, now, in his spare time, period. He also enjoys riding horses as a hobby, and is starting the first BNI group for dual licensed professionals in Indiana and Illinois. Bam. Okay. Clearly, for the purposes of this call or this webinar, I think we've had a nice bio. Matthew and I are going to continue to talk a little bit more offline here and see what other tweaks he can make. But for you guys out there listening, here are the key points. Number one, we introduced Matthew giving a kind of a big why. Who is he? Why? What's so great about him? What's he going to do for me as the consumer? And what's something special? Okay? And you notice here we don't have 8,000 sales awards being barked up and bragged about, even though Matthew's on his way to getting a lot. We do not really discuss exit realty here because, quite frankly, Matt has a lot on his plate and there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. If you don't have some of this background, if you're fresh out of school or you don't want to talk about the background before, or you're not dual licensed, or you don't ride horses, you don't have your all this other stuff, then start talking about exit. Okay, and I can help you drop that because Exit has a great resume. But Matthew has enough in here, even though he's not been in the business forever. Matthew's got enough in here to talk about himself that he doesn't really need to talk about Exit. He can do that in person. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close down the webinar. If you guys have further questions, of course, as always, you can ask me directly. And I look forward to talking with each one of you about your bio and going over it with you very soon.